Okay, this is my AV3900 Reflection. So I'll just be covering my Penguin builds, some of my flights that I've made, and then just my whole experience with iNav and with the Penguin in general, I guess. So, okay, how did you come to choose your project? So over the summer, Duke said he was thinking about trying to do a fixed wing class later on. So he said, that's an option that you could do. Beforehand, I had started planning out another 3D printed build. So I was thinking about building a P-47 Warbird from 3D Print Labs. It would be one of their smaller airframes. So I think, I can't remember the wingspan on it. Oh, it was just over 1,000 millimeters. So quite a bigger bird, but not too big. Um, in the past, I'd built a Focke-Wulf 190 from like Eclipse-In, and I built a P-51 from 3D Print Lab. So I just kind of wanted to try something different again, but I'm glad I chose this. This was a lot cooler, and it integrated like a couple more concepts like FPV and iNav versus like just building another 3D printed plane. So, and in the past, my 3D printed planes haven't done too well. So, yeah, this worked out quite well. So, yeah, that's pretty much it on that. What did you learn about time management and scheduling? So I'd say time management and scheduling went pretty well. I never really got behind on anything. If anything, I was ahead most of the time. Uh, I'd say probably building my schedule was the hardest part. When I was building it, I had to like kind of plan ahead all the way to December and figure out what I wanted to do for each week. And well, like if something happens, am I gonna have enough time to complete it later on? So yeah, that was probably the hardest part. But once I got that built, it was pretty easy. There wasn't any hiccups or anything after that. So yeah. What obstacles did you not anticipate? So just a couple of things here that I can remember that were like a little bit harder to figure out or are still a problem. So first of all was my receiver configuration. So for that I bought that PWM and serial receiver. So getting the ports configured was easy, but I didn't know how to I didn't know how to set up my RX and TX UART connections. I'm glad I got your input on that. It was pretty straightforward once I got your input. So, but at first I was a little bit confused on how to set it up. So. My flight controller holder, I had to kind of reconfigure the top a couple times so it would fit, but once that fit, and it elevated my Type-C connection so I could connect to it easily. I'm very glad I did that. If I had to like move my wires out of the way to connect to that every time, yeah, that would have sucked. So I'm glad I got that figured out. So my compass, when I first started flying, it would start up on a cold start and take forever. It takes forever to pick up satellites on a battery start. Compared to like my Holy Bro and even my VTOL that we built this semester, oh my god, it's kind of insane. But since I've been flying more recently, I've just taken a phone battery charger with me. So as soon as I get to where I want to fly, I plug in my flight controller and then just kind of just let it sit while I set things up. And usually by the time I get everything set up and powered up with the battery, it at least has 6 satellites. So it works pretty well once it gets going. So it's working. So that's really all I care about. So I'm glad I figured something out that works for that. So my run cam still has the problem of stopping. And I think that's probably the biggest problem with the aircraft right now. This last weekend was Thanksgiving, and I did quite a bit of flying over the weekend, and I had a couple of pretty cool flights, and some of them just didn't get recorded, so that was super annoying. And like I've tried reformatting my between every time I go out and fly, I'll just reformat my SD card. I have a different switch set up on my transmitter now. I have the little scroll function on my pocket set up to send the input so it's more consistent, or it seems like it's more consistent than one of my buttons. But I read a couple of Reddit threads that one guy said his button was loose over here, and that may have been the reason it started, or like that his stopped recording. There was another guy that talked about buying the right SD card. My SD card should be fine. Like all of the I can't remember all the stats that go along with it, but it should be fine for what I'm using it for. So I don't know. I'll have to read more into it, but that is something I'd like to get fixed later on. Differential thrust was kind of an obstacle, or just something I struggled with. It I never really got it to a point where I felt like it had enough authority to be worth it, I guess. Once I increased my values to like a higher, or once I increased my values, it just wouldn't take off, or I'd get some like funny behavior. So I think I just kind of gave up on trying to like make that work. So um, I don't know. Other people have had success with it. I didn't really like it. So anyway, yeah. Um, and then my run cam angle and wiring, this is something I'd like to change later on. Right now, this is an older photo. I don't have this mount anymore, but basically my run cam is kind of in the middle of this plywood section right now. It's on a 180-degree angle, kind of like this one, so it's facing straight out, I guess. It's not like tilted up or anything right now. I'd still kind of like to tilt it down more a little bit. In a lot of my footage over the weekend, it all looks great, but I still would like it maybe just to tilt it down just a little more so I can get more of the landscape. Um, but to do that, I think I need to move it up, and I didn't make my wiring harness long enough to like it won't have enough slack to take the cover off if I move it up anymore. So that's kind of a problem as well. So that's something I might fix later on. It's not a huge deal. It still looks great. It's kind of just something I don't know. Maybe I noticed. I don't know. So yeah. So what was hard for you on this project? I wouldn't say there is anything that like drove me crazy or like that I dreaded working on. For the most part, I had fun working on this project. This was, I don't know, whenever I got bored doing or like stressed out doing my other homework, I would just work on this because I don't know, it was more relaxing, just like researching and soldering and whatnot. So yeah, when I maybe like the more like some of the more annoying there were a couple of like annoying features like I mentioned over here, but or like when I crashed, but overall this project wasn't super hard or anything like that, so I'm pretty happy with how it went. So how is this project related to your aviation and your development as an aviation professional? So this is more related to like the UAS side of things. I have a UAS emphasis in my major, so um, just all of the classes that I've taken have kind of helped me, build the skills to build this. Even my photography class, I've used Premiere a lot throughout the semester. I'm glad I learned how to use that. I love using Premiere. It's pretty easy to use, and uh, I've enjoyed using it as well. And then just flying fixed wing and flying drones in general, and then building like the Holy Bro and even the VTOL this semester kind of helped, influence some of the decisions I made, I think. So, um, yeah. Um, I wouldn't say so much for my later career. However, I'll kind of get into it later. I want to build a VTOL now, I'll kind of talk about it in a little bit. So maybe when I start making an actual paycheck, that'll relate to more of like my aviation professional career. I don't know. So whatever. Anyway, um, what is your greatest success from this project? I'd say just I don't know, getting a fixed wing aircraft, or just building the aircraft to where I like it. I get some really nice footage out of it. Yeah, when I upload my kind of my final project video, um, I don't know, I'm pretty happy with a lot of the footage I got from it. I really like flying this thing. It's really the handling on it is great. You can go really fast. It's great at acrobatics. Um, but it's also a pretty good slow flyer as well. I can kind of just cruise with it, which is awesome. And it looks cool, I guess. So I've really enjoyed building the Penguin, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So, although mine is a little bit more beat up now, like I think I cracked my leading edge over here. I blew this nose up, so I'm printing a new one, and yeah, she's a little more abused. But anyway, so. All right. And then yeah, so after flying this past weekend, I flew up a canyon in Tooele, and I think I included like my landings and some of my takeoffs in the video that I'll upload later on, but it was kind of sketchy just trying to like land my fixed wing, on like ridge lines and stuff. So uh, because even when you're landing, there's rocks all along the ground, so like you're trying not to hit the rocks, and I don't know. It'd be nice just to have like a fixed wing VTOL. So over Black Friday, I kept getting a bunch of like ads about Flightatory's Stingray here. So it's basically a 3D printed build, but you can 3D print all this, and then you can buy a little VTOL kit to go along with it, and it's basically a 4-in-1 pusher. So I think I almost bought it, but I didn't end up getting it because a lot of these carbon fiber rods, that's going to cost me, just under $100 just to get that material. And then I think eventually what I'd like to do is maybe take the VTOL that we built in the AV32, or sorry, UAS 3250, and then maybe just like build something like this out of it. This one's a 4-in-1 pusher, so I think I'd have to build, or I think I'd have to do something like this wiring harness. So I'd have to buy another ESC. But yeah, basically I don't know. I'd like to build a VTOL one day. So. Yeah, with this though, I'd also want to put a digital system in it. I like my analog system, but I do wish I had maybe a little bit more range, especially on my Penguin. I already have great range, like a pretty good range, but it'd be nice to just. I think I watched a video the other day, and some dude flies like 24 kilometers away with his digital system, and I was like, geez, that would be sweet. So. I don't know. It'd be cool to try one of those out as well. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So, thanks.